Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Whitney, and in today's video I am going to be doing a very simple and basic speed build for you guys. There's actually a very specific reason for this build, and the reason is that I'm currently playing a series on the channel where I am attempting to build the entire town of Newcrest Rex Richest style. Basically started off with a single sim who is basically the founder of the town of Newcrest, and throughout his journey he's been inviting random townies. Well, it's not really townies because I have given myself a few rules that I'm trying to follow, and the rules is that I can only invite young adult sims who are unmarried, or even though I kind of I bent my rules a little bit and I did end up inviting a married couple, but that's because they don't really have a family. So basically I'm just trying to find young adult sims who don't really have a family that I can invite to my town of Newcrest. And things have been developing and growing, and now I'm kind of getting to a point where they've all been living on one lot, but now it's time for them to start moving out and living on their own. So this is a build that I was working on specifically for that. My townies currently don't have a lot of simoleons at this point because one of the rules that I gave myself for my challenge is that my first generation of townies, they cannot get a actual job. They have to make money doing other things like painting and selling things on the selling table and doing other types of crafts and stuff. So they currently don't have enough money. So the sim that I'm moving into this house here, she does have enough where she can just have a simple starter home. So usually the starter homes in the Sims 4, they usually range between I think the max is 20,000 simoleons, because that's usually how much you end up with when you first start off. Yes, there are some base game houses that are worth less than 20,000 simoleons, and I think by the time I finish furnishing this house, I think it was 19,000 simoleons, which isn't really bad because normally I don't give myself a budget or any type of restrictions when it comes to my builds. Usually I find myself struggling a lot, and I don't know why, but I kind of like to make myself struggle a little bit because I feel like this is one of the first budget friendly base game houses that I didn't really feel like I struggled. And I think maybe the reason why I didn't struggle as much is because I did use a floor plan for the specific build, which I haven't done in a while, and it was really fun to kind of recreate a actual floor plan in The Sims. And if you're looking for any tips on how to build, usually if you're struggling with building something, it's a really good idea to maybe search up floor plans. And I think there's a website that you can just type into Google or whatever, and you can just look up floor plans. But where I get a lot of my floor plans from and a lot of my inspiration for builds is Pinterest. So if you don't have a Pinterest account, I recommend that you get one and create a board for potential builds, and just find simple kind of easy shapes that you can create. I think the hardest part with building is the roof situation, and the way that you can kind of prevent having to struggle with roofing is to kind of keep your shapes kind of basic. I don't know why I'm going into a tutorial. Kind of let me know in the comments if you want me to make a actual build video where I'm giving you guys a tutorial on how to build or something. I don't know how exactly I would go about that, but yeah, I don't know. Let me know if that's something that you'd be interested in watching. But going back to the floor plan, I feel like because I already had a floor plan in mind, it did make the build go very smoothly. So I feel like this build, the video is kind of going to be a little bit shorter than what I usually do. The build isn't very complicated or complex or anything like that. Usually when I'm editing a speed build, I usually cut out a lot of the parts where I'm struggling between color swatches, or I'm changing my mind about different things. But in this video, I decided to kind of switch things up a little bit, and I did keep some of the stuff that I was kind of indecisive about, or the things that I added to the build, and I decided to delete it because I didn't like it or it didn't work. But in this video I just decided to keep some of that in there just so you can kind of see the entire process. I really like the way that the layout for this house turned out. It's a really nice base kitchen, I feel like, and then there's the a dining area next to the kitchen. There's also a pretty decent sized living space, and then there's technically two bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, and there's also an additional room that you can turn into a bedroom. I think I kind of turned it into an office space because the sim that I'm moving into in here is just like a single mom, and her, I think the baby's an infant at this point. So it's just gonna be their house, but they are like our founding family. I don't want to go too much into spoilers if you're not familiar with the series or anything like that, but the founder sim, he did find someone. Well, he found one of his townies. They got married, and the wife got pregnant, and they were getting ready to move out. I'm not going to say what happened, but something happened to our founder. Well, I'll just say it because I feel like it's kind of obvious. The founder, my founder of my town of Newcrest, he passed away, but it's okay because he actually died from a very dumb reason. He actually passed away from, he, I don't know how, but he got playful and he laughed himself to death basically, which is really dumb, I think. But it was a good thing that he was able to get married in time, and he was about to have a baby on the way. So basically this is going to be their house, and I think the house that I'm building on, I think it's like, it's not the biggest lot in Newcrest, because the biggest lot that I have in Newcrest, I'm using it as like it's a communal living space where all my townies live at this point. So at first I was building this lot on one of, I think it was like one of the second to biggest lots in Newcrest, but I think I ended up changing it to one of the smaller lots because I was trying to save money. And I think the lot by itself, it's 3,000 simoleons, so I did move it to a smaller lot so that I could have some more simoleons so that I could furnish things a little bit more. I am hoping that my founding family, they will be able to make a lot more simoleons. I feel like, I don't know, I think the good thing about this lot is that because it is base game only, even though I do plan on adding things on, because I don't think I like furnished this house as much as I really would have liked to have it furnished. I'm someone who enjoys cluttering up the space. I know there are some people who also like builds that don't have as much clutter. I think there's a lot of people in the community who appreciate, houses that are kind of like move in ready. And that is something that I want to do more of on this channel. I think people, there are some people who don't really like building, but they do like decorating. And I feel like this is a good house for that. It has really good structure. So you can kind of like get rid of all the base game things and then add in everything that you want it to have. I also think houses like this are good for gameplay because a lot of the time when you're playing with a family, you end up collecting things, whether it's like collectibles or you have your Sims take pictures. So you don't necessarily have to use a lot of decoration. You can just add in the things that your Sims collect or acquire over time. And I do have a few more tips for you guys if you're interested in building your own, like it don't even have to be base game, but it could just be like budget friendly houses. And one of the tips that I have is once you have your floor plan in mind, go ahead and purchase all of your flooring and your wallpaper. That way you kind of have a better idea of how much more money you need for your furniture. Another good tip is to kind of get all of your necessities brought first. Like, of course, your Sims are going to need a fridge, a stove, a bathroom. So these are things that you might want to buy first so that, you can have, how much money you'll have later for decoration. And I could have saved more money by only furnishing one of the bathrooms, but I really wanted this house to kind of be move-in ready. And usually when you move into a house, it usually does come with, a fully equipped bathroom. So I didn't really do a whole lot of decorating in the bathrooms, but I did make sure that all the bathrooms had what they needed. There's also another room that I actually forgot to mention, and that's like a utility room kind of, or like a laundry room situation. I don't think I put anything in there. I think I might have put like some shelving or something like that, because I think like most houses that you get, usually you do have like all of your appliances, they come with the house. But I feel like most of the time when you buy a house for the first time, the only appliances that it doesn't come with is a washer and dryer. Usually you have to buy that yourself. And so yeah, I feel like this build is very realistic when it comes to that. Another tip when it comes to building and like keeping a build within a specific budget is you can't have any counters. I mean, not counters, you can't have any cabinets. Cabinets are so expensive. They're basically the same price as the cabinets, and your Sims usually do need the cabinets. They usually do need the counters, but they don't usually need the cabinets. And I do like cabinets, and I feel like before I used to struggle so much with building builds that were in budget, and I feel like it's because I was being super stubborn and I felt like my Sims needed counters, and they really don't, because not unless you're playing with the walls up. And I feel like most of us who play The Sims, especially if we're playing like on our own, I feel like when I'm doing let's plays or anything like that, I do feel like I have a tendency to try to play with the walls up just for like the aesthetics of it. But when I'm like just playing on my own time, I play with the walls down. So there really isn't a reason for me to have cabinets because I don't really see them anyway. So in order to save yourself some money, don't get any cabinets, and also don't get any blinds. And I feel like for me, in my mind, I struggle with that aspect because I'm like, someone is going to look in my Sims window and see them and like see everything that they're doing. And I have to remind myself that it's just a game and no one's looking in the window. Unless you have Wicked Whims, then you might have someone looking in your windows. But yeah, you're not going to be able to buy the blinds because they're too expensive and your Sims can't afford it. Oh, and another tip that I have for doing base game is kind of like just putting all of your furniture in. Don't worry about the colors, don't worry about the swatches or anything like that. Just put some furniture down, kind of like figure out where you want things to be, and then you can like play around with the swatches. And one thing that I did find is I found this rug, and it's a rug that's base game and I rarely ever use it, but I found this swatch on it that I really like, and I feel like I'm going to use this rug a lot more. I really like how it has this like blue and like gray in it, and it kind of, I feel like it would like match a lot of stuff. Another thing that I really like is I like the base game couches. There isn't a whole lot of couches in game that look like basic couches that look like, I don't know, like something you will want to sit on. Like I feel like I would want to sit on these couches. I feel like the other couches that, especially like the newer ones, they look more like they're for aesthetics, or they look like they're just for looks. And I don't know, there's like a few couches that I would actually want in my house. And I feel like you would probably notice what couches those are if you ever watch any of my speed builds. I have a tendency to use those couches all the time. Some other things that I did to kind of make this build affordable is I did use a lot of, well, I wouldn't say a lot, but I did use some. When it got to the landscaping, I used a lot of, well, I don't think I purchased any landscape or anything. I think all the landscaping that I used for this lot, it was debug items, and that's something that I will sometimes do. The thing about going into debug and having all those items kind of be available to me is most of the time I'm doing my building on my gaming laptop. And when I'm scrolling through debug, I just have to make sure that I'm constantly saving, because my game has a tendency to crash whenever I'm scrolling through debug. I don't know if it's because it's having a hard time like loading in all the items that aren't usually available in game or what. But I think like using debug is a really good idea if you want to like, I feel like we're not there yet, but like it made the yard feel really like full, and I didn't feel like I was missing out on anything. And I don't know what it is, but like the debug like landscape items look so much better than the ones that are in game. I don't know why we can't just like have those as like part of the game. I don't know why we have to put a cheat in to get access to those things, because they're so cute. Another issue that I had regarding this computer is that I thought that I kind of was finished with the build at one point, and so I had stopped recording, and I don't really have a lot of space with the storage back, and I feel like I should have more storage on my laptop than I currently do, but I don't. So when I thought I had finished recording, I had hit stop recording, and then I was going back and I was looking at my build as I normally do, because sometimes I just kind of like, I have to take a step back. Like sometimes I'm working on builds like late at night when I get off from work or something like that, or I just end up working on builds late at night because that's the only time I really have to build anything. And so sometimes I kind of like come back the next day or in the morning or something like that, and I'm kind of like looking at things and I'm kind of like seeing things with a different perspective, and I was like, oh, I could do this like so much differently. Like for example, I ended up changing as you can currently see, the desk is in the living room and I have the art easel in the spare bedroom, which I ended up changing. I think I got rid of the art easel because the mom who's going to be living here with her daughter, she is a painter, and I do plan on having her sell her paintings, but I'm pretty sure that she'll just like bring the easel that she already has with her. So I think I ended up deleting the easel and I moved the desk. into the spare room, and it's kind of like the study or whatever. I don't think I had a computer because I was kind of like going back and forth on whether I wanted to have a computer or a TV. I kind of already knew that I wasn't going to be able to have both. And that's kind of like the thing when you're doing budget friendly houses, is you kind of got to like place things around. And there were times where I realized that there were other objects that I would rather have than some of the objects that are already placed down. So you kind of like have to like go through, maybe delete some things and then add what you actually want until the space looks full enough. And even in my mind, I don't think that the build looks very full, or as full as I would like it to be. It's not very cluttered, but I feel like, you know, it's enough. Like, I feel like it's enough to kind of like tell the story of your Sims just moving into the space. Something I used to do when I played The Sims 3 is I used to have my Sims like pretend that they were going around to different houses and looking inside and kind of like seeing if this was a space that they wanted to buy. And that's kind of like something that I think I want to do a little bit more in The Sims 4. Like, even if I don't necessarily do that, I do want to like do more builds that are like move in friendly, and you can kind of like imagine, you know, your Sims moving into the space and seeing what they would and wouldn't change. I don't think my Sims that are going to be moving into this space, I don't think they're going to live here long term or anything like that, but I do feel like because of the layout of this house, I feel like it would be very easy for your Sims to kind of like change things around. I feel like you could very easily like you know, do a renovation on this house and make it into a two-story house if you want to expand it. But I think for the Sims that I'm moving here, I do think I'm gonna plan on having them move out to a different house soon, maybe to a bigger lot, because I feel like when the little girl grows up to be older, I can like see her wanting to have like horses or something like that. So I don't know, I feel like this build would still be really good for like maybe future Sims, like if they move out and then another family moves in. I feel like the layout of the house is like perfect for that, and it'll be very easy to kind of like customize things to whatever your Sims need. When it comes to my builds, I really like to think about like the story aspect of things, and I think it'll be a really cute story to tell, to like just have this house be a part of like your town for a while. And maybe you can like document by like taking screenshots or something about like how it's changed over time. So like the Sims that I'm having move here, like this is a very brand new built space, and of course they're going to make changes as they live here, and you know that they have to like make the house accommodate their needs. But you know, and then the next person who gets it, like it's not going to be new anymore. They might come in and make changes. I think one of the changes that I think I would change once my Sims get moved in here and they make some more money is I don't think I'm going to change the landscaping, because like I said, I feel like the debug landscaping is really nice, nicer than the landscaping that you have to like buy from build mode. But I did use debug fencing, and I'm not really sure how I felt about the fencing that I used. I think it was like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I think this is the fence that I use, but I'm not really sure how I feel about it necessarily. So I think once they get some more simoleons, I think I'm going to upgrade their fence to an actual real fence that they have to purchase with real simoleons. So that will definitely increase the price of this lot. But if you want to get this lot at the price that it is now, I can't think like exactly how much it is. I know it was like 19,000 simoleons, so it's like really close to the 20,000 budget. But like, I don't think your Sims are gonna have like any wiggle room whatsoever when it comes to moving into this lot. This build is on the gallery already. I will put my gallery ID in the description below. Also in the description, I usually put like the information about this lot as well. So in the description, you'll see exactly how much the slot costs, and I usually put like how many bedrooms there are and how many bathrooms. And I usually put in the description like the packs that I used for this build. And I realized recently, because I get to a point where I'm about to upload my videos and I don't feel like editing that part, because I have to like go through and like type in all the packs that I use. And sometimes I'm like, I definitely use a ridiculous amount of packs, and to be honest, I'd be a little ashamed of myself. So I'm gonna feel good when I post this video and realize that the only pack that I have to put in is base game. So if you want to download this slot, you should be able to, as long as you have base game. But yeah, I think I'm gonna end this voiceover here. I'm gonna like put like a little tour or something, or maybe it might be screenshots. I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do yet. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you enjoyed this build, and I will talk to you guys another time.